Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high-performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, I typically record these on a Tuesday, but yesterday I was feeling real tired. So, I waited for today, and now I'm so grateful that I did because there are so many ideas running through my head right now that I apologize if I go off on some rabbit trails. You might get that today. But what I really wanted to talk about today is the idea of truth and finding truth now. So I posted on social media the other day that I was really grateful for AI. And probably not in the way that you think, right? Yes, I do use AI to do some of my administrative kind of things, like doing the notes for my podcasts. Additionally, I will use it to just really kind of streamline things, make them shorter, quicker, faster, right? I don't, however, use it to help me write. And I say I'm grateful for it because I also teach at the collegiate level. I have been for about 20 years. I think it's like 18 and a half years, something like that. And so I've seen the evolution of the internet being used, being able to cite your own sources, right? And now AI. And initially I was like, okay, cool, like AI will be really great. It will be a great tool, and certainly there will be people who will misuse it, all the things. And what I've actually noticed is a really great change in the field of education, because for many years, and this is actually going to be a really great shift. For many years, general education, public education, has focused on rote memorization, where you remember something, you regurgitate it, that's about it, right? Well, AI is really great at this. However, the free versions of AI are not really great at being analytical and not really great at discernment. Because if you've ever used AI, chat will tell you, oh, that's really great. Like, just compliment your nonsense, essentially. And what I've actually loved is that the schools that I teach for have started to change the assignments because of this. Because they know students are going to try to get things done the quickest, fastest way possible, and oftentimes it is using AI for every single part of their class. Now, I just started a new class this past week, and I had students use AI for their introductory post. And maybe you're thinking, well, Steph, how do you know? I know what these students are supposed to write. Like, I know the caliber of students that come into my classes. I've been doing this long enough that I can say without a shadow of a doubt that many of my students used AI for their introduction post, because someone that they knew said, well, if you don't use AI from the very first time you engage with your instructor, then they're gonna know. I know anyways. You're not fooling me. I'm not dumb, right? So why do I love this? Well, one, because we're changing the assignments. And so you are going to have to do some more analytical. You're actually going to have to know what you're writing about and be able to explain it. Because what I love to do is I will take their very long post and I'll boil it down into one thing. And I usually ask them why. And why is a really great question to ask anybody. I actually just did this for a student last week. She was feeling a little behind and wanted some extra credit, and I very rarely offer extra credit because it simply gives me more work to do, and I don't subscribe to that. Like, be honest with me at the beginning of the class, but I felt pulled. And so her extra credit assignment was to tell me why she enrolled at the university and was in the program that she was in. And she sent me the most beautiful email after that assignment. And she said, I can't believe how many emotions I unpacked having to do this extra credit. She said, I actually recorded this video many times because I broke down and started crying in the middle of it. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted my student to be engaged. And so how do you engage somebody? You ask them why. That's a very, very powerful question. And so when it comes to people in general, and additionally the people that you speak to on the internet, right? Why can stop people in their tracks real quick? Well, why? Right? And oftentimes they don't know. And they just regurgitate something. Or they actually take the time and it stops them dead in their tracks and they go, "Oh, let me actually consider this for a moment." And so I love that AI is coming out because it really is causing people to be way more discerning and actually be able to begin to see the truth and recognize truths. Because you definitely cannot believe everything on the internet now. You really couldn't to begin with. There's a very small portion of it that you could begin to believe at the beginning anyways. But now with AI, it's causing people to question everything, and I love that. There is a part of me that loves all of the things being questioned because there is so much that is fake and lied to. We're lied to about and all this other stuff. And there's, you know, there's this school of thought and that school of thought. And then there's science is real, which science changes all of the time. And so science changes. So I can't call that, I can call that true right now, but it's not the truth. And I was actually journaling about this a couple weeks ago, and because I've been really hit with some hard truths, I started to do some deep diving and really digging into kind of the the back end of things, we'll call, and it's really kind of shaken me to my core because there's a lot of things that have come up where I was like, whoa, wait, what? Hold on, huh? Right? Um, and so I was journaling about this and I said, all right, I said, so God, how do we begin to discern what's true, what is the truth, and what is a lie? And very clearly I heard, pay attention to what's in the Bible. Well, even the Bible has been manipulated on some levels. All of the different editions of it, some books have been removed, some things have been edited. And so it's really about tuning in and knowing what is truth within yourself. And this is something that I talk about a lot with my clients because we want to, many of my clients, actually all of the clients I've ever worked with, they want to be able to trust in a higher power. They want to know, hey, I've done my effort and this higher power is going to show up and help me out. Well, in order to do that, you really have to build trust within yourself first. And then you are able to get another level of discerning, right? It's very much like a video game, as much as I can't stand video games, right? It's very much a level up. As you trust yourself more, you can trust in a divine father, in God, in the universe, whichever you're going to call it. You can trust in that power more after you've already begun to trust yourself. And that starts with very, very small things. Okay. If you are a parent, think of trusting your kid to drive, right? You start really small. You don't send them on the freeway on day one. Well, maybe you do. On day one of getting their permit, right? There's little baby trust steps along the way. And the same is true with ourselves because we are the only person that has heard every single lie that we've told. And so sometimes it is difficult to trust ourselves, but you can start very, very small. And I have started to do this on a very different level, a much deeper level where if I say it out loud, I do it. And I don't give it any extra thought or energy if it's not something that I really want to do. And so it's really made me hold myself to another level of accountability. I already had that trust, but this is an even deeper trust, and it's actually quite enjoyable when you can get to that space and begin to play with it, really, because it is a relationship with yourself. So how do you start this? One, there are multiple ways to start this, but the framework that I like to use is if there is something new that I want to commit to, or something new that I'm interested in doing, I get very honest with myself about how long is it going to take me? What is the time commitment? And then once I know what the general time commitment will be, I make that fit and I make the space for it in my calendar. I don't hope that the time happens and I'm able to do it. I actually make the space in my calendar. So there are actually blocks of time in my calendar when I am starting something new. This is when you work out. This is when you do this. This is when you do this. This is when you do this. And it's only in the beginning because I just need that reminder because it's not something that's being done habitual at that point. So I just need the reminder in the beginning. Okay. And then I adjust all the time. I adjust that to my life. I'm very adaptable when it comes to that. And that is what makes me actually incredible at what I do, is that I am adaptable to it. So for instance, I had a workout schedule for this week. I'm getting ready to run the High Rocks race in New York City in the beginning of June. And I have a workout schedule that I've been following. Now, I have been consistent, but I have not worked out every single day. And one, that's because I am trusting my body. I didn't work out yesterday. I was very tired yesterday. And so I didn't push myself to do the run workout that I was supposed to do. However, after resting yesterday, I did swim a little bit in the pool, but after resting yesterday, I was very excited to work out today. I have kept the consistency without beating myself up. And that adaptability has allowed me to be very successful in very different areas of my life. So, one, get honest with yourself about what it is. Make it fit into your calendar and be honest about where it's going there. And then always adapt. Adapting it is key because your day will never go perfectly according to your plan. Prime example, I dropped my girls off at school today and I was headed out of the parking lot to go home, and I was like, all right, when I get home, I'm going to work out so that I have no excuses and I don't avoid this workout today. And then my husband called and said, they forgot the stuff that they needed for their school party today. And I got annoyed because I wasn't necessarily dressed to go to the grocery store, but I went to the grocery store, I got the cups and bowls and whatever was forgotten at the house because I did purchase it in advance. It was forgotten at the house. And so we were headed out the door this morning and I brought it back to school. They had the things and I got home and I was home 15 minutes later than I wanted to be. Now, that would have mattered if I had my day scheduled to the T. I don't do that. That's exhausting. It's micromanaging. I don't have the energy for that. And so I said, okay, well, what is a pressing thing right now that I need to get done? And so I got to some emails. I got to some emails and then I did my workout. So it was just a little reverse order. It was adaptable, but now I feel so much better and grounded. And this episode is way better than it was going to be had I come into it stressed and angry and annoyed, right? So adaptability is going to be key here in all of the things. So I hope this episode helped you. I'm going to sign off here. If you are looking for some support this summer, I would love to help you out. I do have a couple of spots available for private coaching. So you can reach out to me, head over to Stephanie Snyder Ph.D. on Instagram or to my website, stephaniesnyderphd.com, and I'd love to connect with you there. And as always, be you because the world needs more of you. Bye.